Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Donna Fiesel, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Talk Show, where truth matters. Thank you so much for watching every day, Monday through Friday, beginning at 1 p.m. Central Time Zone, as I get to ride home with you in the afternoon. You can still find us syndicated on Abundance Television, found on Roku, Apple TV, and Amazon Fire. And don't forget the podcast on thenewscasters.com. We still do all the social media sites. Some things are working here in South Carolina. I'll let you know about that as soon as it happens. So they're happening, guys. Also, continue sending emails, Donna@DonnasEdge.com. That's Donna@DonnasEdge.com. I appreciate it. You really make my day when you send those emails. Again, Donna@DonnasEdge.com. I have friend Rick Staines with me right now. We have a show before the show and then during the commercial break, and then we also have another show after the show. So anyway, we probably should turn it into a 3-hour show, Rick.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. We do talk a lot off camera. Although it's on camera, but it's, obviously not being recorded. And so, a 3-hour show, I think, would be just about right.
Well, you are not in your hometown right now. I'm pretty sure you can't say where you are, but you are, wow, the world is really changing right now.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah, I'm on the road. I've been here for about just over a week now, 10 days, I think. And, I will say I'm in the northeast somewhere of the US on a job, and so hence why I'm in my hotel room
I was going to say, I was going to ask if you were kicked out of the house.
No. I'm working, so I'm here legitimately, and I was trying to find a good angle, but if I point the camera that way, you're just going to get the window, and I'm going to be a silhouette, and so this is the best place to be right now.
Just leave it. So a lot of things happening in the world. Just had a guy on the show. His name is Ron Foster, and he lives off the land. And he was talking about there are things happening to the sun. And there are sunspots. There are things that are happening that are glooming down on Earth and other parts of the universe as well. And so we had this discussion about what if something happens to the grid? How are we all going to live? Can we live?
We can live. Depending on living off the grid, it depends what the sun does. Mm-hmm. If it's so destructive, then no. I know that sunspots disrupt, electronics and electrics and stuff like that. We'll knock that out. If you are like us a little bit, where you have some land and you are kind of self-sufficient, then I think you've got a good chance if you have well water. But again, I have 2 wells. They're both electric pumps. Mm-hmm. So at that point, I'd have to probably get I can probably put in a hand pump down far enough to get water should I need it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we all rely on electricity too much. But I do have a generator, so that would be one good thing. And we have actually 2 of the same generators. Very important to have generators until the gas runs out, and then that's the next thing.
That's the point. And then if it's a solar generator, is that going to do you any good?
Well, it depends. Again, what it does to the atmosphere if stuff's blocked out. We don't realize. Sometimes we don't realize how important the whole environment is. The sun. Obviously the sun, for us, it gives us heat. It gives us a source of energy that we can convert, and it also allows us to grow things. And if we can't see that, that's going to cause problems. If there's dense cloud of anything, there's again, depending on what happens on the planet, should you get like a mass eruptions and stuff like that, then you're going to get blackouts, so you're not going to be able to see the sky. And then there's going to be dust, and it's just going to be horrible, because we don't know what that's going to do to us in general with, weather patterns and everything else that's going to be affected.
Well, I'm wondering what it's going to do to human nature, because, if you've lived in Alabama, you know what I'm talking about. When it snows, we get ice, or we would get ice instead of just that beautiful fluffy snow. And people just go nuts going to the grocery store, buying all this loaf bread and milk, and the grocery shelves would be bare. What would happen, human nature? What would happen to humans as far as that's concerned if we had something?
I mean, if you want, I mean, in reality, if you have anywhere that is like a place of storage where you're self-sufficient, people are going to go and target those because they know that that's where they've got a rich environment for food. Because obviously most people are going to gravitate towards the supermarkets and the malls and everything else to try and get food shop. But when that doesn't happen, the real human nature will kick in, where it's literally the survival of the fittest. So therefore, they're going to go after places where they think they can break into to steal the food, you know. And it is at that point it's going to get crazy. So,
well, grocery stores though only have what, about 2 days worth of food, really, in reality?
Well, if that, I mean, you think, you know, if you go back even just to when the start of COVID, when the mention of toilet rolls was, you know, the toilet roll shortage, and how crazy people were. You know, because they're not going to take one; they're going to take as many as they can, because literally is, like I say, survival of the fittest. So they will fight anybody for it. And food is actually obviously a higher commodity, a higher value commodity, just as water is. You know, and that's the thing. So in the early days, it's going to be water, food. Water is more important than food, and then people are going to look for any source of power, gasoline, generators. When we did the storm damage for Katrina, Rita, Wilma, Gustav, and Ike, the most important thing was water, food, and generators.
Yeah,
and people, they will kill for that.
How much help would FEMA be? Because you remember what happened with the hurricane. The Cowboy Church runs out, then, you know, they start delivering water and food and canned goods and that kind of thing. But they were stopped by FEMA, who wanted to confiscate the water and everything they had. So,
I think it would be interesting to see how FEMA work under the Trump administration as opposed to the Biden administration, because again, we're talking about a different government now and a different way of doing things. So it may be more effective, but again, we all remember what they did, and how people were treated. Or not given the stuff they wanted because they had no money, because the money was going elsewhere. So it'd be interesting to see if they did that, but hopefully we'll never get to that point where we have to go, okay, this is now something that's going to affect our lives. How are FEMA doing? Because that's going to be the last of your worries.
Absolutely. Okay, you and I are computer geeks, okay, and we love anything technical, whatever. So how would we, because we got to be able to communicate with each other. 2 tin cans and a string's just not going to work. When I live here and I have a friend in, say, North Carolina, I'm in South Carolina. So, I mean, what's going to happen to communications, and what would you think would be the most reliable way to communicate? You got ham radio, you got CB radios.
But again, you've got to think of the network, and the network is powered by electricity. So if there's no network there, it doesn't matter what you got. It really doesn't matter what you got. I mean, they're talking about all these radios right now that work nationwide. I haven't really looked into it, but I'm probably going to try and look into it to see how that network, because if they're bouncing off anything, if the network is here on the planet, and it's an electrically based network, it's not going to work. If it's satellite based, it may work. But apart from that, I mean, anything that has anything to do with electric is not going to work, regardless of what you got.
What about just the little cheap walkie-talkies you can get, like at Walmart? Would that be better than nothing?
For, I mean, what distance? I mean, I've tried some decent ones out there. I'll tell you, they've got like a 13-mile range. And that's normally line of sight. So as long as you've got that clear view between you and where the other person may be, and there's no obstruction, there's no buildings, no hills, no mountains, no nothing, then you're probably going to get a good service. But no, I mean, for running around the farm, if I want to know what someone's doing over the other side of the farm, walkie-talkies are great. But anything more than that, no. Now, there are other systems out there right now that you can buy. The Bofang, there's the Bofang radios that everybody's talking about. But again, how is that network put together, and how is it joined together? Is it satellite-based or is it land-based? If it's land-based, then no, it's not going to work.
Well, and then you've got the issue, okay, because a lot of people argue the fact, well, let's see, I'll just use something that's battery based, but then you still got to charge the battery.
If it's
they're not forever.
If it's a rechargeable battery, that is. And then again, if you go to the store, there are going to be people that are going to literally target the batteries so that they have whatever they have battery operated is going to be functional during whatever's happening. So, again, it's a bit of a crapshoot, really. Do you back up on batteries, but they're going to be short-lived, and when they're gone, what else have you got? I mean, because if you don't use rechargeable ones, you can't you can't use rechargeable ones. You can but once if there's no power to recharge them, unless you've got a generator and you can put it on the generator charge and get that up that way. If you've got regular batteries, they're going to have a short lifespan and then they're gone. And that's just, obviously they don't work after that one. So, it would be very, very difficult for people to function if this all happened, because the life as we know it doesn't work.
I don't think it'd be that bad for me, because really, I love living out on the farm. We don't care, and that's the truth, because you chose what you wanted to do, be away from certain people when you chose that, and I did the same. I just wanted to be in the middle of nowhere. I didn't really want neighbors. I wanted that peace of mind and that peace of quiet where I could walk out and go like, yeah, this is great. Mm-hmm. So do I need to communicate? I think, we're humans, we always need to communicate, but at the same time, I'm good. So if it happens, we'll see how we go. Good. I'll just send you a telepathy message. How about that? I'll go, Rick, how do you peel tomatoes?
Because if you think, with transportation, the network will shut down. Mm-hmm. So then it comes back to taking horses. Well, you watch a movie, Old Western, and they're riding their horses like crazy for hours. It doesn't work like that. The horses need to be rested, watered, fed. Okay, so whereas it may take you, one day to get somewhere, right now it's going to take you several days because you have to stop. It's like having an electric car in reality. But the same with the horse. It needs to be, recharged. It needs its rest and it needs its food. Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of things we take for granted that will literally, they're gone. They'll change. You have to adapt. There's not going to be talking to friends miles away if you're lucky. There's going to be no communication. Seeing friends and family from a different country, no, it's not going to happen. Not until everything's fixed. So, it's a very daunting thing when you think about it in its entirety.
I love history. And people were just so much smarter than that. But now they had to depend on, grit. They had to depend on common horse sense. They had to have that effect. But I saw an old picture of New York City. And this was back in the 1800s. No cars, no nothing. But think about the jobs they had back then. Somebody had to be the pooper scooper for the horses.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That person.
Yeah, they probably made a good living too.
I would imagine they did.
Yeah. You think about it. If you were an undertaker, you make good money because the death rate was a lot higher. If you shovel poop, you made good money because everybody was riding horses. Mm-hmm. If you shoot horses and actually had livery stables where you put them up, you make a good living because everyone needed to park their horse. So, there's a whole bunch of jobs that were there that no longer exist because obviously the services are no longer there to, facilitate them. So, if you had a service job with animals and towns and cleaning, you probably made a good.
So let's talk about this. Okay, so let's pretend we're back in the 1800s. We don't have any of the conveniences we have right now. You just mentioned a few of the hot jobs, and those would be hot jobs right now. People would look down on it right now. If I walked around and I did like dog pooper scoopers, okay, that's not really a job you want to brag about. But if we went back to the way things were back in the 1800s,
then you can brag about it because,
mm-hmm.
if you're cleaning up the I mean, obviously, you have to also then look at it in perspective. Are there going to be the same amount of people walking around town? Because we're talking about literally having to reverse everything back to the way it was. So how's it going to work? Because people don't know how to do things manually anymore. They rely on computers and machines. So then you've got to go so it's going to be manual. When you go to a store, it's going to be cash, because you're going to have electronic money. Every checkout is going to be a manual checkout. You're going to be paying cash. They're going to do a book, because that's what they do. They can't do it electronically. They're going to have to write it down. So it's like relearning all the old ways that have gone. And I don't think there are people that are equipped to do that. I think if you look at the education system now, and going back maybe even 10, 20 years, some people they've got no idea of how reality works and how to do these things.
Most people don't know how to write a check, like a check.
No, because they don't even know what a check is. I mean, you think the kids that are even maybe teenagers now probably don't even know what a check is, because they've never been shown it, because, everything's electronic. It's on their phone or it's on a card. Okay? Everybody's got an Apple phone or an iPhone, and they Apple Charge. They charge their phone, or they tap a card. I still insert my card. For some reason, I could tap it, but I still insert it, because it's hard. You just get into that mindset. It's like, oh, I'm going to do this. I'm just going to do this. Eventually, I'll go, oh, I can do this. It's actually easy.
Yeah, but think about this. Okay, so the people who are looked down on and the people who are made fun of, people who live their own grid, people who live off the land, those kinds of people are, and both my granddads used to say this all the time. They would say, someday things may just go around. They just may come full circle. Could possibly do that. Those would be the geniuses, and people would be hiring them out to teach others what a seed is and how you can put it in the ground and how you can grow food from it. I mean, that person could be pretty popular and wealthy.
Yeah, I mean, anybody that works with their hands. I mean, for years, they've sold you this dream that if you went to college and you got a degree, that you'd be earning this much money. When in reality, the jobs aren't always there. And then people go and take stupid degrees that don't actually mean anything in the real world, thinking that that's going to benefit them too, and it doesn't. So you're actually better off learning to use your hands, or learning a skill where you have some practical skills that could actually get you through, if there was, a life-changing problem. I mean, my son is a mechanic, and, anything that's mechanical, he'll try and figure it out. He's just got his brains just set like that. But he's also, he cleans tools and he makes weapons. He loves to restore old axes. He'll get an old axe, it's all rusted up, pick it up, he'll clean it up, make it look nice, put a new handle in there, and then, if he really likes it, he'll keep it. If he kind of wants to make some money, he'll sell it. But that's a valuable skill. You sell it. I mean, because if you imagine the world went, downhill real fast, and you needed an axe, and someone could make you an axe, then that man's going to be making some money, because now he's got something that you want. So these are all good skills to have if you can make stuff.
They're fabulous skills. So think about this. I know several men who make knives. I mean, I'm talking literally. They'll get a piece of skill and literally make a knife, and it's the best knife you'll ever have. Now, they charge a pretty penny for it, but it's worth it. You'll never have to buy another knife as long as you live, versus one being mass produced. They're just not the same. Yeah.
And it's like, everybody going on about firearms. Firearms are great, but when the bullets run out, it's just, if it's a rifle, it's, a 9-pound plus paperweight that you've got to carry around. So that's when the edge weapons come in, the knives, the spears, and if you have them or you can make them, because that's a practical tool that you can use. You can use it for hunting, and you can use it for cutting up what you've cooked and what you've caught and everything else, and you can use it as a defense weapon too. I was actually talking today with one of the guys here. We're boys in a candy store when it comes to firearms and knives. And he's like, well, I've got this. Oh, I've got this. Oh, I've got this. Now, none of us have got anything here on our firearm basis because we're not allowed to, and none of us would be that stupid. But we do have edged weapons simply because we use them in a practical sense. I always carry a multi-tool with me because you never know when you're going to have to open boxes or cut something up, cut string, because we have deliveries all the time. So I always carry a small Leatherman. I've got a small, that's actually a small fisherman's one I have on my belt loop because they're practical, you know. And so it's an edged weapon, but it's not an edged weapon because it has the screwdrivers, it has the pliers, everything that you could want in a very.
I've got one of those, and that thing is heavy. And I don't know how many times I've thought about taking it out of the purse, out of my handbag, just so my purse would be lighter. But this thing has everything to it. You may have given it to me. It has like a screwdriver, pointed screwdriver, like 20 years ago, probably. I think you gave that to me.
Did I?
It has all kinds of.
Well, I want it back.
You ain't getting it back.
No, I know I'm not getting it back. No.
It's mine. And you also gave me this tool to keep on the keychain, and it's like if somebody came at you, it's like a defense. It's like
Kubotan. The Kubotan, yeah.
Yeah.
The Kubotan is a very cool weapon. The other thing that because I watch people all the time with practical stuff, and so I watched someone the other day replace the Kubotan with a Sharpie, the fat Sharpie, because the fat Sharpie fits in your hand. Okay, now, so let's give you a breakdown. So in many years ago, in the 60s, the Chicago Police Department used what they call a Uara stick. So it's a stick about 6 inches long and pops out of the top of your hand and out the bottom of your hand like that. And it's like round wood, normally a hardwood. And that was part of their police weaponry. They had to stop carrying that because that devastated people that when they were arresting them, when they were smacking them with them, I mean, literally would cave your face in. Just this little bit of wood in the right hand, because all it's doing is adding to your fist and making a big indentations, and you can use it for like breaking ribs and doing sternum rubs and everything else. You can do exactly the same with a Sharpie. So I don't have to carry a knife, I just carry a Sharpie because I can do just the same with a Sharpie, big fat Sharpie. And,
are you serious?
Yeah.
It just doesn't seem like that would work.
Okay. Yeah.
All I can do is call his bluff. I promise you. That's all I've got to do. And the rest of the show is going to be about this. Okay. So I'm having a hard time visualizing this, Rick.
I'm trying to find it in my bag.
Yeah, that's another key point. You got to get to it really quick.
Well, no, I put it in my bag last night, and I put it in a certain place, but it's obviously slipped down somewhere. But I do have it because it's at work, and I know it's probably something to the bottom of my bag. And I'm going to probably embarrass myself now. Not find it. The other thing is also a flashlight. See, the flashlight can do exactly the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
That's the same thing.
But better than a Sharpie. I mean, a Sharpie's made out of plastic.
It is, but the body's very soft. There you go. So this is your fat Sharpie. Okay?
Yeah.
There you go. What is, you've got one? Okay? I mean, that there will hurt. On your sternum, pushing her up, it does exactly the same thing as your Kubotan. But it's a Sharpie. So no one's going to take any notice of that. They will your Kubotan. They'll take it off you at the airport because it's FAA restricted. But they won't take this off.
You just made up a good point right there. If you're going to the airport, yeah, they're going to take that thing away from you.
So if you get used to carrying this, they're not going to take this off you.
Okay.
You know, and even if you really want to, you can take that off, and you've got Sharpie, try to wash Sharpie off. Okay, so you mark someone. Wait, just how they got a black Sharpie.
Yeah. Hey. How are we going to identify the person who attacked you? I got my Sharpie out, and I wrote it all over his face.
He's covered in Sharpie. Believe me, it works.
Okay, I get it. I was just giving you a hard time. Yeah, I mean, you can use anything for a weapon. I mean, basically.
Yeah. I mean, if you're clever enough. I remember one of the police officers at the mall, after we did a show, and I was talking about credit cards and how you could use them, especially now they have metal credit cards.
Yeah.
And what you could do with that. And he was like, why are you saying stuff like that? I'm just being practical. I'm not trying to arm everybody. I'm just saying, because it was all obviously based around women needing something. And he was like, you're giving all this information out. I'm so, hey, dude, that is what it is.
Okay, let's talk about law enforcement. Okay, because there are people who just hate law enforcement for some reason. But I promise you, they're not going to call the person who bakes cakes if somebody's trying to break into their house. They're going to call law enforcement, right? So, what is this going to? Are the law enforcement going to be able to be more aggressive? Because right now, this is okay. You watch a true show. I'm not talking about a movie. I'm talking about like a true cop show. The cops always have to be so polite. They have to say, "I'm going to arrest you." Okay. If it were me, I'd be like, "You're going into slam." I couldn't be a cop, but anyway.
No. And we were talking about this morning as well, because, I've been pulled over a couple of times and the cops have been really good, but that's because they're reading what I'm doing and how I'm treating them. Because the first thing is you don't want to escalate anything. And if you haven't done anything wrong, then, okay, you may get like a reprimand. You might get a warning. You might get a speeding ticket if you were speeding, but just, if you were speeding, then fine, I've done it.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah, just go, hey, I'm sorry. Sometimes they'll let you off and other times they're going to give you a ticket. But if you exacerbate the situation by being stupid, I'm going to crack my window like an inch and then go like, no, I don't have to give you my identification. Well, you do. It doesn't matter whether you think you're a sovereign citizen or not. You still have to identify yourself if asked by a police officer. It's so simple. And people fight it all the time. Or, can you show me what I was doing wrong? Well, yeah, I can, but you first of all got to wind the window down. Give me your identification so I can identify you, and then I'll show you what you did wrong. And people make so much of it, and they, and then when they do that, they wonder why they're getting, the window stowed in the car, they're getting dragged out of the car, or they're getting tased, or even worse, if they end up getting shot because they've obstructed the police officer in the course of their duty. I mean, if you've done nothing wrong and you've got no record, then hey, just what do you need, officer? That's it.
Yeah.
They treat you so much better when you're polite.
Oh yeah. I was talking with one cop in Anniston one time, and I said, "What is the most unusual people, and what was the funniest thing you ever heard? People give an excuse for speeding, whatever." He said, "Well, I heard this a few times, but after the 50th time, it wasn't funny anymore." And I said, "What's that?" They said they had to go to the bathroom. Now I'm trying to hurry get to a bathroom.
Yeah.
What I mean? And so he said, that one's been worn out. I'm tired of that one. Word got around to, people saying, just say you got to go to the bathroom and they'll let you go. And so, but he said, what really irritates me is when people just start getting rude with me. They know they were speeding. They know they were. And so actually I said, because I was going down the road one day and yes, I was speeding. I was going down Quintard. I was going way too fast. I was running late for an appointment. He pulled me over and I said, "I'm sorry, I was speeding. You don't have to tell me what I was doing. I was speeding." He said, "Why were you speeding?" And I said, "Because I'm running late for an appointment." And he gave me a warning simply because I told him I was speeding. I mean, he didn't tell me. I said, "I know, I'm sorry," and all that. But he gave me a warning. But he said, it's when they start getting rude, when they darn well know they were speeding.
When you won't surrender, I mean, when people don't surrender their IDs or want to tell the cop who they are, I mean, you just raise that, straight away. You just raise that whole level, and then they're going to come back with more. And then now, see. If you carry on doing it, you're obstructing the law. You're causing a problem, and so at some point, you're going to get dragged out of that car if you don't open it, because they said, "Oh yeah, I want your supervisor." So now you're costing them money as well, because now they've got to send a supervisor there when you could have just dealt with the regular cop. And so you have to supervise there, and then you do the same to him. Like, I'm not talking to you. Okay, well, you're going to come out the car. And then when you look on the back end of that, not only have you now got like maybe a criminal record, some court fines, you've also got a damaged car that you've got to repair. So what's the point? What's the point? Just, hey, sorry. I mean, I always say, if I know, sorry, I know I was doing it. I was going very fast. The last one, I was way over the speed limit. And he goes, is there any reason why you were speeding? I said, well, the guy behind me was a bit close, and I just thought I'd, open it up a little bit. And I'm sorry. And he came back and he said, well, I'm not booking you for the speed you were doing. I'm going to do it in this one. Then you don't get the super speeder fine, which is a lot of money. And I'm like, thank you very much. I appreciate that. And thank you for, doing what you do. Because he said, do you want me to recalibrate my device? Another thing, don't say yes. Because now you're going to make them mad even more, because now they have to go recalibrate their device because you don't believe that it was correct. Just go, oh, no, you're fine. I believe you. I knew what I was doing. Paid my fine.
Same here. Another cop told me that one thing he doesn't like is when women start crying. And he said, there was one especially. He said she was a drama queen, I could tell. He had never met her before in his life. And she started this crying, carrying on, and all this kind of stuff. And he said, ma'am, look at me. And so she looked at him and he said, where are the tears?
Yeah.
So that just makes them mad too. I mean, the best thing to do is just say, yeah, I did it. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I've had people cry when I've gone to interview them about, then they know they've done wrong, and I'm there, and I'm asking loaded questions. I already know the answers. And I had one girl, she was started crying. I said, first of all, you need to stop crying because that's not going to work. She said, what do you mean it's not going to work? I said, it's not going to work. I said, I'm here to ask you some questions. All I want you to do is answer questions. I don't need the drama. I don't need excuses. I just need these questions answered. It's a yes or no situation. It's not. And so when I asked all those questions, when she realized it, she was shaking because she knew she'd got caught. Because I would have gone into the other site and I already got the answers to the questions I was going to ask her. So the crying didn't matter. I said, I know my wife on a couple of occasions has come back. She's mad because she's been pulled over. And I think at one point she said that they pulled her over because she was driving a BMW and she was a nurse. I said, they can't see in your car because you've got like a tint on there. So they didn't really know what you did. They're just doing their job. You were going in at 35 and you were doing 45. Okay. You're going to get caught.
Yeah, but and I'm not saying your wife's this way. I'm just saying people get their feelings hurt easy. And let me give you an example. Okay, so we had an employee. She was brand new on the job, and so she just wanted to know when to take, because we had all these employees, and so we had different times for them to take lunch. I didn't want everybody taking lunch at the same time because we had customers coming in, and I wanted them off. That's why you would hire more than one person. You wanted to make sure it was completely manned. And because customer service is number one with me. You got to be open. So Phil just walked by, and sometimes Phil has this really dry sense of humor. So she was just asking when she was going to be taking lunch. And Phil just walked by her, and he said, didn't you eat yesterday? And then he just walked off. She started crying. She literally started crying. And then I was like, well, first of all, I can't figure out why you would cry because somebody would say that. But if we've raised a generation of like, I get my feelings hurt, I'm going to cry.
Yeah. Okay. So we had a young lady last night. The client, we had to terminate her. And so we terminated her. She was demanding a flight last night. I said, well, look, from the location we're at, it's not going to happen. So we ended up getting her a flight for today.
Yeah.
But she was adamant that she wanted to go to the airport. And we would have left her stay in a room, but she went to the airport last night. She was nasty to my hotel coordinator, made some kind of remark that was like a bad remark, and then also mentioned other things that were like, we can't talk to you now. And then she's blowing up the phones today to try and talk to us, and we're like, we told you last night we can't do that. And all she had to do was just act calmly. And she's taken this to a whole new level now. We can't deal with her anymore because of certain things that she said. And it's like we look at each other and go like, "Why? She was fine before this." It's just, we don't have always the control we think we have. And if the client says we don't want them anymore, we just have to tell the client. What's the reason? It doesn't matter what the reason is. The client doesn't want you anymore. That's breach your contract. If the client decides they don't want you, you have to go home. But
but sometimes it's just because they're stupid and you just can't deal with it anymore.
And also other people do stupid things and they don't realize what they're doing. Making videos at work and put them on social media. And then, when they go, "Oh, well, no one can tell where I work," well, they can because they looked at your badge that you had on right in the middle of your chest. It's got your name on there and the name of the place you're working at. So, and they're like, "Oh, yeah,
okay.
I didn't realize that." No.
We've got to go into a commercial break. We went way over. We're going to come back. I want to talk to you about why cell phones should not be allowed in the workplace unless it's one that the employer provides. So let's talk about that. We'll be right back.
Twin City Used Car Sales has been serving drivers in the Northeast Alabama area for years with a quality selection of late model used cars, SUVs, and pickup trucks. On top of our extensive selection and competitive prices, we offer professional auto financing services for used car buyers of all credit levels. Whether you've just begun your search or you're ready to secure your next vehicle, at Twin City Used Car Sales, you will drive away with the vehicle of your dreams. The sales and finance staff at Twin City Used Car Sales looks forward to serving you, and you can apply for financing online before your visit to our used dealership in Gadsden, Alabama. Check us out on the web at twincityusedcars.com or go by our location at 901 First Avenue, Gadsden, Alabama. We sincerely look forward to serving you. At Lamone's Mexican Restaurant, located in Henniger, Alabama, and voted Best Mexican Restaurant of DeKalb County, Alabama 2020, we're here to serve you with authentic Mexican cuisine. Order easily online by going to lamonsmex.com or call 256-657-3999 to place your order. We're open Sunday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Friday and Saturday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Whether you're celebrating a cozy date night for two or a celebration for a crowd, at Lamone's you'll love our atmosphere and friendly servers. Thank you for dining with Lamone's Mexican Restaurant.
Are you ready?
We all wonder what tomorrow will bring, but the future lays itself at the feet of the prepared and surrenders to the will of the persistent. It's not easy, but today shapes you so you can shape tomorrow. With Northeast Alabama Community College, when the future asks if you're ready, you can answer
yes.
Begin your future at Northeast Alabama Community College.
We are back. My name is Donna, and I'm your host of Donna's Edge Talk Show, where truth matters. If you want the truth, that's Rick Staines. I mean, he'll tell you. I could ask Rick right now, does it make me look fat? And he would tell me, yeah, it does.
No, it doesn't.
So,
you've never, what are you going on there? You've never been fat. Have you?
Well, a woman, unless she weighs 80 pounds, thinks she's fat. I mean, that's just the way it is. That's the way women are. Even I'm that way. So who knows? But thank you for those words of encouragement. I definitely appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Okay, we're talking like weirdness in the workplace. So my question is this. Okay, first of all, people use their cell phones. I see it all the time. I can go to any store, any whatever. The employee is sitting around on the phone playing games, talking to their spouse or whatever. And I mean, they're constantly on it. They're not speaking to you when you walk in. Okay, that makes me want to walk out. Okay, and not do business with you anymore. How much production in business is lost because people just can't get rid of the phone for 8 hours?
probably more than we'd even think, to be honest with you. I mean, going into any store right now, especially if you're going to Walmart and you want first of all, finding a representative, because again, where's the dress code gone? Where's the identification? You used to be able to identify the staff, but you can't now. And then even when you find the staff, they're on the phone. And if they're not on the phone, they've got the earbuds in, they're listening to music. So they're not aware of what's going on around them. And it's crazy. And I'm sure that it's more than 50% of wasted time and effort, if not more than that. And we have to tell people all the time, you're going to a facility there, don't have your headphones in. The number of times we've had to tell people about headphone use, because they're disengaged from everything that's going around them. I said, you have to be engaged in what you're doing, whether it be in a warehouse, whether it be in a hospital, whether it be in anywhere. Okay, there's noises, there's sounds that you would react to if you didn't have those in your ear, and also you're distracted from what you're doing because you're listening to whatever you're listening to, whether it be music, podcast, phone calls. And then there's just having conversations at work with people. We had a girl the other day, we had just released her. She came back down, and I could hear her down the hallway. She was cussing like a sailor. Literally, we're one floor above the lobby, but it's open plan, so they could hear her downstairs. She came to our door and she went, "Oh, just want to say goodbye." Went back out and started cussing her like a sailor all the way back out again because she was on the phone. It didn't even come off the phone. And that's people today. You just deal with this all the time. The phone is their life.
Okay, so I was in the store the other day. It's actually we were in Anniston. We were in Oxford, and so I was trying to get the employees' attention, but they had earbuds. And they didn't know what the heck I was trying to say. And then I thought, well, I'm going to have to. Their back was there, and I thought, well, I'm going to have to tap them on the back. But then you got to be careful how you do that. Somebody's going to think it's sexual advancement or something. So I'm looking at Phil. I'm going, do I need to tap him? And because he's not hearing a dang word I'm saying. And so I finally just went, excuse me, sir. I mean, I just kind of did like that. Excuse me, sir, we need help here. And it was just like, and then I got to thinking about this, because there are bomb threats now in buildings and whatever. That it's a common thing now. And I wondered, what if there had been a bomb threat and he's on his phone or he's listening, whatever the heck he was doing. Okay, so he wouldn't hear it. Wouldn't he be a target for an assassin?
Again, if you're walking down the street, I mean, if I'm listening to music, I will normally have my headphones, because I have an iPhone, so I have the AirPod Pros. I'll have them set so I can hear. I won't have them sound blocking. I'll have them.
Good thing, yeah.
So I can hear the ambient sound around me. So you can hear footsteps. So you can hear it. Even better, don't have your earphones in when you're walking down the street. Don't have your phone in your hand when you're walking down the street. If you're walking, I mean, normally I would say I answer my phone. I'm going to move to the side and I'm going to put something behind me so they can't sneak up behind me. And I'm going to cover everything while I'm looking. And it's going to be like literally I'm just looking real quick, because I don't want to run up and grab. Because it's very simple. I lived in Britain, and my son grew up like that. He does not get his phone out walking down the street. Just because he said, I have to be like, I said, yeah, you're doing the safe thing. But some people are oblivious to that. They're again, their phone is their life. They're literally, and then you're hearing a conversation. Everybody's on the bus or whatever, hearing a conversation that you don't need to be party to. I hate talking on the phone in public. even in where I am now, if I've got a call coming, I'll go outside so I can talk to that person one-to-one with that whole room listening to my conversation. That's just the way I was raised.
What I heard one day, I forgot where I was at. So this guy was ordering something. Oh, it was a restaurant. This guy was ordering something at eBay or something. I don't know what he was doing. I don't know why he wasn't just typing his credit card number in, but he was actually speaking his credit card. He was ordering, and I'm sitting here thinking, man, if I were a thug, I'd have a heyday with this guy. I mean, he gave the expiration date, and I was trying not to hear it. I was like, just kind of looking around, and he was like, literally gave the security code on the back of the card and everything. And I was like,
the life throws many things, and the one thing you can say is if you have any ounce of smarts and you don't do any of these things that other people do, you have a good chance of survival, because that is basically what this is all about. Mm-hmm. It is the survival of the fittest, or the people with the most intelligence and brains that don't do stupid things in stupid places, and then if they're lucky enough to survive it, go, well, I don't know what I did wrong, because that's what they do. I don't know why I was just doing this. Yeah, well, that's what you were doing that led to this problem. It's because if you disengage yourself, because the people that are looking for you to hurt you, to take anything from you, are looking for the sickly, the weak, the weakest of the herd, and they'll wait until you stray far enough away. They can put them between you and the herd, so the herd doesn't know what's going on, and you get mugged, attacked, whatever, and they will take whatever they want from you and leave you as for what they might leave you for dead.
Okay, let's talk about online presence. Okay, I've had to take Mother's phone away from her.
She friended me on Facebook, just so
yeah, be careful.
The other day. I was like,
so I had to take it away from her. Okay, so now it's like it just goes on and on and on. The people, the man, supposedly man, is probably a woman in some area. But anyway, they're claiming to be a man. They say they're in the military. They say, I work for a pipeline company. They're a doctor. I mean, it's always some professional something, but it's usually somebody in a high demanding job that would not have time to sit and talk to old ladies all the time.
Right.
That's it. Or, I mean, so I get friend requests all the time because we have the show. I mean, I'm going to get it, but before I take anybody in, I always look, how many friends do they have? They only have one. They've probably just set that account up, and they're going to try to hack you, and they're probably going to try to take every penny you have. What are some more safety precautions?
Well, the first thing I always look for is spelling, okay? Because and the way that they phrase something, because if they're supposedly a general or high-ranking officer in the military, and they're speaking like somebody who just got out of school, a year ago and didn't have a really good education the whole way through school, and their English and spelling are really bad, kind of a red card there. Someone of rank would be spelling something so badly or phrasing something so badly too. Then there's just say, I mean, if you know somebody and you're talking and someone's pretending to be that person, I always ask them a question. Where do we meet? And then they'll try and deflect off of that. And then it's either a bot or it's somebody who's pretending to be someone they're not. The other week, I did a conversation with somebody like, okay, where did we meet? Oh, come on, you know that. No. Where did we meet? Because I can't have this conversation. It's not going to go any further unless you tell me or answer my question where we met. What's my name? Because most of the time they don't even know my name. So there's simple things you can do. I mean, but these chatbots are very, very good. They're because it's like a lot of it's AI now, and so it almost sounds like a conversation.
Mm-hmm. Now, why are they? Because I saw a couple of these, and I'm going to send some to you so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, so there's almost every time they pretend they're talking on Messenger. And they pretend like, well, let's go to WhatsApp. Let's go to, they're always coming up with some other reason they don't want to keep the conversation going on Facebook Messenger. So, I mean, I know why, but why can't people see through this? It's just like, okay, if you and I are talking, we're friends, okay? So I would actually ask you, if you said, Donna, let's do WhatsApp. Well, I would say, well, Rick, we're on Facebook Messenger. Why do you want me on? I mean, why can't we just continue on talking like we are now? Why do they want them on WhatsApp?
WhatsApp, WhatsApp's very, very secure. it's one of the secure ones because it basically encrypts. And you can do it on Facebook too, Facebook Messenger. But you've just got to click the privacy conversation, and but basically that privacy conversation then encrypts everything between the person you're talking to and yourself. WhatsApp does it automatically. I don't really see the benefit unless they've got some way of hacking WhatsApp.
Unless they think you've got that the person has a daughter that might be sneaking in and looking at her mother's messages.
Maybe, but again, I don't think that's the case.
Why do they want them to go get a Google telephone number?
Well, a Google telephone number is actually a way of you can actually communicate and keep your one safe. But Google, so the Google number is like a protective layer. Do you remember the days when you could get an app and you could get a second number on the phone, so you could have like this phone number on an app, and then you had your regular phone number, and you could just push it to that number, and no one would ever know your real number. It's kind of what Google is right now, but that's more legit way of doing it. Is that you can have that Google number to protect your number, so people can still call you without you surrendering your number because it's just a protective layer. We have people here that have done that because when they leave the job, the last thing they want is all these people calling them on their regular number.
What is, and I'm sure the numbers change daily. The last time you heard, what was the number of people who'd been scammed just on the internet?
Oh, I mean, to be honest with you, I don't even know the number, but it's rife because it's very, very easy to fall into that trap. And, they use techniques, and then it's like the same with any scam, whether it be through email, through what they call phishing, and there's different ways of getting information from people. Putting in malware, so they turn around and say, "Okay, we'll take it away we'll take the malware off your computer if you send us, $5 million." And otherwise, they'll just let the malware go to town and just literally wipe out your computer and all that information you've got. Phishing is like when they send an email, it looks like it's an official email. And it kind of looks the same. So what you do is you hover over the name or the place where the email's come from, and it will tell you exactly what you're looking at. So it might be very, very close to what they're telling you. Oh, it'll be, say, for instance, Verizon. But if you look at it, it will say Verizon, but it'll have a few more letters onto it because it will be something different from Verizon. But when you first quickly glance at it, you'll see it's legit. Always hover. So we teach you always hover. And if there's a link in there, never click on the link. Because if you click on the link, you're normally opening up your computer, your system, your phone to a bot, and that bot will come in there and infect your computer, and then it's horrible. You're
going to love this one. Okay, you and I are friends, have been friends for 20 years. Okay, so I only have the one son. I've never had any more kids. So this person calls me. They tell me they're from the sheriff's office. I said, "Oh, what can I do for you today?" They said because I do get legitimate calls from the sheriff's department. Sometimes they want to be on the show and make an announcement or whatever. And so, but I knew it was a scam. So what happened is they said, "Your daughter is in jail." Said my daughter was in jail. And I said, I went along with it. I thought, well, I've got a few minutes. I'm going to go along with this and we'll see what they say. and so I said, "Oh, she is? What's she in jail for?" And I forgot got drunk or something. I forgot what it was. And I said, "Oh, she did. So what do you want me to do?" And they said, "Well, if you want to get her out, you'll have to bring bail money. You have to do this." I'm like, first of all, what country is this person from? But then anyway, I kind of kept going with the gag. And then I didn't say anything for about 20 seconds, but to them it probably seemed like a minute. And so the guy comes back and he said, "Are you still there?" And I said, "Yeah." And I said, "I'm just thinking about this. She needs to learn a lesson. Just keep her there." And then I hung up.
Yeah, that's it. I mean,
they don't even do their homework. I mean, it's like, they assumed I had a daughter.
Yeah, well, I remember my boss. So my work email got hacked, and I got a message to come through to me, and it was someone pretending to be my boss. Now I know my boss really, really well, and so my radar went off straight away. like, because it said, Rick, I need you to do me a favor. Okay. I'm like, he never asked me like this. Never. And he would never do it through an email. It'd always be through a call. So I'm thinking, okay, this is something different. So then it goes, I need you to go. I need you to go do this. I need you to go buy these gift cards, and tell him. I'm like, okay, this just ain't right. Because, well, one, he's a millionaire. He doesn't need me to go get him gift cards. He could go, and then he's like trying to make out like he's in dire straits. I'm like, okay. So what I did is I was still talking to this guy, and then I went and messaged Greg on on my phone and said, hey, Greg, are you asking me right now for gift cards? He's like, no. I'm like, okay. So I go back and message him, and then I let my IT director know so that he could get in there and start doing his magic. Yeah, like I knew, because then it came out that there was a scam going. Because it's like, if you know the person that's trying to contact you and this person's trying to be that person, there's certain things that you know they're going to do, their behavior, the way they talk, the way they act, even in an email. I mean, I knew it wasn't him just because of the wording that he used and the question he was asking.
I had a new one. We're going to have to go in just a couple minutes, but I had a new one. This is my friend Ann, who's a very direct person, by the way. She never goes, hey girl, let's chat. She's just not that kind of a person. And so, but it was a FaceTime message, and it was her face, but they were trying to do AI.
They don't move. Yeah.
And so the face wasn't moving, but the lips were moving. And it said, Donna, I need to talk to you about something. And I'll go, well, let's talk then.
Yeah.
So, and that was a scam. And then later on, and then I got in contact with her, and she just got rid of Facebook and all that. So I'm not even doing that anymore. And she said, yeah, I'm trying to take care of it. And I said, well, I just wanted to tell you, it didn't to me look like a scam. I said, because your whole face was not moving. I mean, except for your lips.
Yeah, and I've had that before. It looked like I could see who it was, and I knew it was them. But I'm like, this is because first of all, there's like a couple of things, because they were messaging me on Facebook. They were trying to FaceTime. But WhatsApp, that's WhatsApp on WhatsApp. So I'm like, okay. So I looked at the first of all, you understand your country codes and understand your phone codes. If I don't recognize your number, I'm not going to answer it. I'm going to go on my computer and I'm going to look up the code if I don't already know it. And when I did it, it came up. It was from Nigeria. So straight away, you know that this is not the person you're talking to. And he's trying to tell me that, oh, yeah, I'm not at home right now. Okay. So you're not at home right now. So what you told me like 2 hours ago that you could do, you couldn't actually do because you're telling me you're on vacation or you're on a job somewhere. But you're contacting, because you're trying to contact me two ways. The other way was via phone, which was a Hawaii number, and the other one was a Nigerian number. I'm like, okay, which one is it? Just pick one. And he goes, oh, stop being cute. I'm not being cute. I'm just trying to work out whether you are who you are, which I know you're not, or what's going on here. So just be aware,
Yeah, folks, if it doesn't look right, if it's FaceTime or whatever, WhatsApp, and the face is just standing still, it's probably a photo, and they're using AI to make the lips move. If it doesn't look like a real human talking, it's probably not. Rick, we're going to have to call it a day.
And also,
we're going to have to go.
If it's, just remember, if it's a number that you don't recognize, don't answer it.
It's that simple. Just don't.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, Rick, thank you so much for being with me. It's always
thank you for having me on, Donna. Appreciate it.
And thank you guys so much for watching. You make my day. Continue sending emails, Donna@donnasedge.com. Take care. Bye.